Hey, what's up everyone? So I am starting a new reading vlog and I'm really excited for this one because I'm reading a particular book and it's one of my anticipated reads of 2023, and she is one of my favorite authors and she never disappoints me with her writing, with her books. They've all been amazing, so I'm always going to support her. I'm always going to be reading her books. And of course, this is going to be a reading vlog for Hear Our Voices book tour, which I have to thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this book tour. You have no idea how long I've been waiting to read this book, and it's just an honor to be a part of this tour. So thank you so much. But I'm going to start reading this today. And that is My Dear Henry. This is a Jekyll and Hyde remix by Kalynn Bayron. And oh my God, I'm excited for this, you guys. And this book comes out on the 7th, so you still have time to pre-order this if you haven't done so already. But yes, I'm going to start reading this today. It is later on in the evening. Earlier this morning, I took my kids to school. I went to the post office to send out some stuff to my members on my channel, and also to send out books that people had wanted that I had unhauled recently. So I sent those out today. So they should be arriving to all of them next week. If not sometime, yeah, next week, Monday, Tuesday. So I did that, hung out with my youngest, then just came home from picking them up from school, all my kids. And now we're just here. Dinner is already ready. We're having leftovers tonight. So it's spaghetti, which the spaghetti is so good. My husband made it and he did a fantastic job. And then I'll be having reading sprints later on tonight. So that'll be probably the time when I start My Dear Henry. And I really look forward to reading this. I've been loving all the remixes. And I'm excited for this particular one. So yeah. And then also I have a video that's going to be posted later on today. It's going to be my March TBR, or my reading plans for March. So that will be up in about a couple, like maybe an hour or so. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be reading. So stay tuned for more, and I will catch y'all in a little bit. So see ya. Hey y'all, I'm back. So I'm currently getting ready for my reading sprints. I got about 18 minutes left before I start. And I'm really trying hard to just wait until I start my sprints for this. But it's like, I don't know. But yeah, like this is like set in 1885. So let me just give you all a little synopsis while I wait before the sprint starts. So it says, they think they know our story, but I can assure you they do not. London, 1885. Gabriel Utterson, a 17-year-old law clerk, has returned to London for the first time since his life, and that of his dearest friend, Henry Jekyll, was derailed by a scandal that led to his and Henry's expulsion from the London School of Medicine. Whispers about the true nature of Gabriel and Henry's relationship have followed the boys for 2 years, and now Gabriel has a chance to start again. But Gabriel doesn't want to move on, not without Henry. His friend has become distant and cold since the disastrous events of the year before, and now his letters have stopped altogether. Desperate to discover what's become of him, Gabriel takes to watching the Jekyll house. In doing so, Gabriel meets Hyde, a strangely familiar young man with white hair and a magnetic charisma. He claims to be friends with Henry, and Gabriel can't help but begin to grow jealous at their apparent closeness, especially as Henry continues to act like Gabriel means nothing to him. But the secret behind Henry's apathy is only the first part of a deeper mystery that has begun to begin. Monsters of all kinds prowl within the London fog, and not all of them are out for blood. So I'm really looking forward to this. This sounds so good. But yeah, once I start my sprints and everything, I'm going to definitely hop into this. My goal is to possibly read at least 100 pages tonight, and then continue reading it tomorrow. I do have to work tomorrow, but I know early in the morning I have to take my daughter somewhere. And as I wait for her, when she's done what she's doing, I'll probably just stay in the car and with my son, because my son's going to be with me because he's also getting his haircut tomorrow. So yeah, but I might stop at Barnes & Noble's too while she's doing her lessons and everything, because there's 2 books that I need to return. And the thing is, they didn't come with any packing slips, so hopefully they can sort of help me with that and figure out how come I didn't get packing slips. Because since I already gotten the books when they were in store, I was like, I had pre-ordered this and I was like, well, you know, I didn't feel like waiting for the books to come in, so I went ahead and bought them. So now I'm going to try to return them and see if they can come up with some type of solution and have them return, and it can go back to on my credit card. So that's my plan for tomorrow for sure. So hopefully I can get to page 100 and then be good, or who knows, I might be able to read a good chunk of it tonight, since I usually have reading spreads for like maybe 4 or 5 hours. So we shall see, but I'll keep y'all updated and stay tuned. Also, if y'all was curious about the noise in the background, it's this person right here. It's my husband. He's knocked out. I can't, like, he can't help it. He works so hard, y'all. But just in case if y'all heard that noise, it's him, okay? I promise you it's him. You can hear him now. Just listen. So yeah, hopefully I'm not scaring y'all off, but I was just letting y'all know that it's my husband. So sorry about the noise. He works hard, y'all. He work hard.
Books getting away.
Right. And I was just telling everybody, it's like, there's so many series that I'm already in. I do not need to start another one. Even though it's only 3 books, right? It's a trilogy.
Oh, I thought it was a little bit more than that.
Is it more? Oh, Lord. I don't know. Somebody let me know. I might end up starting.
I am Deborah Lee. I'm like, there's got to be an audiobook, but I don't see it on script. Let me look on Audible.
Unless it's not on there yet. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's what I hear. Those are
Let's go for the Libby app.
I'm reading a few things. One Punch Man, Requiem of Silence by L. Penelope on audio, and All the Lonely People by Mike Gale with My Eyes. Okay. We got some hybrid reading going. I think I'm going to read In the Event of Love tonight. All right. Hello, Elises. How are you? Hello, everyone. Hey, Deja. How are you? Heading home from dinner. I'll probably join during the sprint. Okay. Well, take your time. No rush. Be safe.
Please.
Be safe. I got to see about that Deborah Lee book, too. Oh, man. I just have a feeling it has a lot of stuff in it that we just don't know about. Like, a lot. But I'm here for it. And then also, if y'all didn't know, I'm going to be reading My Dear Henry by Kalynn Bayron. So I'm excited to get into this. I love her writing. And so I was like, yes, I got to start reading this. And it's not long. So who knows what may happen in 2 hours. I doubt I'll finish it in 2 hours, but I'll at least read a big chunk of it. So I'm excited to read this.
It seems to only be...
Hey everyone, so I got like 40 minutes left with this sprint. I'm currently, I believe I'm like on chapter 3, and we're dealing with one of the main characters, Gabriel Utterton, who his father is a doctor, and he's black, mind you. This is happening during the year of 1885 in London, and he's pretty much trying to live up to the expectations of his father. Even though Gabriel does not want to be a doctor, he wants to be a lawyer. But he's attending this school where technically he's not allowed to be attending because he's black. But they found good standing and found ways where he could attend. But it's interesting dealing with just reading this, and Gabriel going through all of this as he is, you know, the only Black person at this school. And like literally as I'm reading these pages, like it makes me think of how far we've come, but there's still a long way to go regarding racism that is still occurring. And I feel like it's always going to occur and that it's never going to go away. But I do feel for Gabriel, and I do love that he has found Henry, who is Dr. Hyde's son, and he confides in him, and they end up having, I feel like Gabriel is having a better, having a deeper connection with Henry as they have these discussions with each other. And when Henry is trying to figure out what his dad is doing and finding out he's experimenting on bodies and whatnot. And I don't know, it's just nice that Gabriel was able to find someone and for someone to talk to as he goes through this. Especially, like I said, being a Black person in a society where he's not supposed to go. Like literally it says the dormitory for pre-medical students was on the school's campus, but it had a strict no Negro policy. Apparently we were good enough to attend, but not good enough to live and eat with the white students. So you got racism, segregation, there's a lot going on. But like I said, this is during the year of 1885, so I'm not surprised with what Gabriel is going through. And for one of the professors or someone had said something to him that really like ticked me off. Let me see if I can find it. So Gabriel is talking to a Hannibal Hastings, and I guess they're having a conversation, and he's saying to Gabriel, "You look quite like your father, same strong chin." And then goes into having a conversation about his information. So like, let me just read this whole thing. So he said he walked to the front of the room where a giant map was plastered on the wall. "I come from a long line of very distinguished men." This is said by Hastings. And he says, "Members of Parliament, war heroes. My father fought against Napoleon himself." He gave a long, heavy sigh and turned to me. "I must confess that when your father reached out to me, I was surprised. I hadn't heard from him in quite some time. His mother, your grandmother, was the head cook on my father's estate." That really was like, oh, okay. And it says, "My heart ticked up. My father had never been very open about how he knew Sir Hastings, other than to say that he had a relationship to our family that stretched back several generations." And immediately I'm thinking slavery, you know? And then it says, "The nature of that relationship suddenly became painfully clear. After 1833, everything changed," Sir Hastings said, "but I still saw your father quite often. Your grandmother stayed on with us for nearly 10 years. She was an exceptional woman." And then it says, "All I could see in my mind at that moment was the image of her sunken face and wide, lifeless eyes." And then it says, "Sir Hastings cleared his throat. All of this is to say that I feel some kind of affection for your father in the way one does for a beloved pet or a prized racehorse." Yeah, that pissed me off when he said that. Like, pretty much telling him that his father is is not even a human being. And that really bothered me. And then literally says, "I bit my tongue to keep from saying anything. The taste of salty iron wetted my mouth. He approached me with his hands clasped together in front of him. 'I would have you here as a student so that you may find a station as a mortuary attendant or some such position to which you're most suited.'" And then it says, "My father wishes for me to practice medicine." That's what Gabriel said to Hastings. And he says, Sir Hastings laughed until his face turned an obscene shade of crimson. Little tears collected at the corners of his eyes, and frothy white spittle gathered at the corners of his mouth. He wiped his face with his hands. "Under whose employ? Come now, let us be realistic. Your nature is built for hauling bodies, perhaps even assisting at the autopsy table. We're always in need of good, strong men in that way. And he says he readjusted his coat. Of course, you will be allowed to attend and take the classes you feel are best, as long as you keep up with the program, which is quite rigorous. But understand that when you leave here, you will only be able to seek employment at establishments that permit Negroes. I'm sorry to say that not a single one of them would ever consider you for position of physician's apprentice. And just with that whole passage, it pissed me off. For telling Gabriel that his father is a comparison to like a racehorse, and it just blew my mind. But it's realistic though. I gotta remember this is realistic, and this is what had happened in the past, which I do love this book for, because it's not sugar-coated. It's the real deal. You know, it talks a lot. It's just being honest about what happened, especially during the year, during the 1800s. Which is why when I say that I'm glad that Gabriel was able to confide in Henry. And I think they're starting to have a connection. It's just they don't want to label it or anything. Or Gabriel doesn't want to say it out loud, but Henry is waiting on for Gabriel to explain what Gabriel means as how he's starting to feel some type of affection towards Henry. But overall, I'm enjoying this. It's fast-paced. I'm really curious to figure out why Henry's father, Dr. Hyde, why is he experimenting on dead bodies? But yeah, this is a really good book. Like I said, it's hard-hitting, it's realistic. Yeah, at times it did make me upset, but this is what happened. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I'll read more of it, of course. I got a few more minutes until the sprint is over. And then I'll probably read a little bit more. But yeah, just want to give you a little update on so far of my progress of reading this, and I will give you updates in a few. So I started another sprint. I have 64 minutes left for this one. We started to do another hour and a half sprint, and I've gotten to about page, let me see. Got to page 80, and this has progressed fairly quickly. How I mentioned last time how Gabriel and Henry were starting to have a relationship with each other. They were starting to see each other as who they were, and they started a relationship, but they tried to do it where it wasn't as noticeable. And so when they would write letters to each other, Henry would burn the letters. Gabriel didn't do so because he wasn't thinking anything of it. He was just being himself, and Henry was burning their letters after he read them. And after all that, and they were bonding with each other, Henry's father pretty much was fired from the school, so he was no longer a professor. And then literally as Henry's dad was no longer professor, Henry's grades started slipping, and then as we know it, he ends up getting expelled. But then we end up realizing the true explanation of why he was expelled. And it was, how did they put it? Because they were also saying that Gabriel was going to be expelled for the same thing. It says he violated our school's morality code, which a lot of professors, they noticed how close Gabriel and Henry was to each other, and they did not like that. So they pretty much expelled Henry, and then they were pretty much expelling Gabriel as well. But someone named Sir Cass, what was his name? I'm trying to remember. His name was Sir Carew, came to Gabriel's rescue, and he dabbles into medical law. And even Henry, before he left and everything, he did give Gabriel a letter because he couldn't say it to his face. And he pretty much told him, like, you should definitely pursue law. And I felt like with everything going on, Gabriel didn't have no choice but to pursue law, because they were trying to expel him, and he didn't want his father to know. But the letter I found very fascinating that Henry wrote to Gabriel. It says, "My dearest Gabriel, I'm sorry for all you have endured on my behalf. Knowing you, you'll insist that it isn't my fault, but deep down I know you know it's the truth. I cannot say goodbye to you in person. Things have transpired that cannot be undone, but I will write to you at my earliest convenience. The summer months will be long, but I choose to think of them as a test, and if I can endure it, I know we will be all the better for it. You said to me that we deserve to live, Gabriel, and you're right, we do. So I will do what I must to ensure that can happen. I feel that with you, there's nothing I cannot do. I go toward this impossible task in hopes that our bond may yet survive it. Trust in me. On a fully separate note, I think you should consider turning your attention to law. You and I have seen what Hastings thinks of us. Go and chase that dream of yours. Ever yours, Henry. So that's where I pretty much left off, where I ended up going, leaving off where he pretty much is pursuing law, and it's now going into the present, which if I turn the page, it's going to be the year 1885. So when I started reading this, where it says before, it started in the year 1883 and then into the year 1884. So now we're in the present, where I believe Gabriel is trying to figure everything out with law, which is what he initially wanted to do in the first place, but he was trying to be a doctor on his father's behalf because that's what his father wanted him to do. But that is where I have left off. I probably won't give any more updates until tomorrow. I'm going to continue on reading, at least get to page maybe 100 and then call it a night. But yeah, I'll give y'all more updates in the morning. Night, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Today is the 5th, so it's officially Saturday. I'm on my way to take my daughter to do her lessons, and then as she's doing that, I think me and my son are gonna go to Barnes & Noble, see if we can return these books. And then after that, I got to drop both of them off because my daughter's getting her hair done and my son's getting his hair cut. So there's a lot I need to do today, and then I have to go to work later on this evening. So yeah, but as far as my dear Henry, I felt so sad for Gabriel because Henry pretty much left him, you know, but he gave him a letter saying that it's not the end or whatever that means, you know. He really wasn't saying like I will be back at this time or whatever. He wasn't really, you know, precise with when Gabriel will see Henry again after they both were pretty much expelled. But I just felt so sad for him because Gabriel finally confided in someone and trusted Henry, was falling for Henry, made himself vulnerable to Henry. So it's sad. Hopefully Henry doesn't, or Gabriel doesn't keep a grudge over Henry for what he did as far as not talking to him in person and giving him a letter. But we shall see. There's still some question marks I have regarding Henry just leaving abruptly, even though we know why he was expelled, but also for the fact of his father, Dr. Jekyll, and him experimenting on human bodies and stuff like that. I'm curious. So now I'm starting to the point where we're in the present day of 1885. Is it 18 or 1855? Let me see if I can clarify that before I even say anything. Let me see. It is 1885. Okay, yeah. So it's the year of 1885. So this is considered the present. So I'm really looking forward to seeing my progress as far as like Gabriel goes with his law, you know, him becoming a lawyer and stuff like that, because he wanted to be a lawyer anyway. So I'm sure when his dad finds out, he probably will be upset, but we shall see. I don't know if that's going to be in the book or not. I'm mostly concerned about just Gabriel and Henry getting back together. So we shall see, but I will keep y'all updates and I will see y'all in a little bit. All right, y'all, so I dropped her off to go to her lessons. I was thinking I was going to the bookstore, but we're having a change of plans. So me and my son, we're going to go to this place. It's called Healthy Day Nutrition, where they have these like herbal teas, and they have these shakes and stuff. So I figured like we will go try them out. So that's where we're headed now. So we shall see what happens. All right, y'all, so just came back from the car from the Healthy Day Nutrition place. So I got the caramel pecan shake, which looks really good. And then I got Jamaican Paradise Mega Tea. So I'm really looking forward to drinking both of these. They sound amazing. They look amazing. So I'm here for it. But first, me and my son are going to go to Home Goods and Marshall's and see what they have, which I don't think it'll take that long to do. And then we'll go back to where my daughter is and chill until she's ready to leave. It's time for her to leave. So I will keep you updated in just a little bit, so stay tuned. Here we are. So we're going to Home Goods, and then we'll go on the other side, okay? All right. Let's go in. All right, y'all, so we walked in, Calendar got to see some toys, and then I decided to get a resistance exercising band, so that's good. I'm trying to get on my healthy journey right now, trying to, at least attempting to. About to head back to Kiana, and I'm gonna read a little bit more of My Dear Henry and then go from there. So I'll give y'all little updates probably after I pick up my daughter. All right, y'all, so I just dropped off my kids at my parents' house because my son's getting his hair cut, my daughter's getting her hair done, and then I am on my way to get some stuff done and run some errands myself. I did order some Chipotle. If y'all don't know me, y'all know now that I love Chipotle. I'm a huge fan. I stand by Chipotle. So I ordered Chipotle ahead of time, so I'll use their little you know, their little lane to pick up my food because I already ordered it online. And then as far as my dear Henry, I feel so bad for Gabriel because Henry sent him a letter saying, like, you know what, we can't be together, you know, we have to distance ourselves, yada yada yada. Gabriel's like, where, you know, he's thinking to himself, where is this coming from? So now he is, I don't know, it's not like he's investigating, but he's trying to put two and two together. He gets to meet this, he meets this guy named Hyde, who says he's really close to Henry. And of course, Gabriel was having some emotions, having feelings about it, because he was like, I don't know how I should feel, like, if I'm like jealous or what, because how close he is with Henry, and Henry doesn't want anything to do with me and all this and stuff. And Hyde was pretty much telling Gabriel, like, you know what, maybe you should reach out, you never know, you should probably give it a try. And Gabriel's like, no, he doesn't want to meet up with me, he doesn't want to see me, he completely, when the last time I saw him, he ignores me. It's like, we're done, you know. But Hyde was like, you know what, you should still try to pursue him, see what happens. So, and even Gabriel finds Hyde weird, but kind. So that's where I am right now. That's where it's taken off. And he's trying to help Hyde with certain things, especially now that he knows more about the law and stuff. So yeah, so it's interesting. There's some action involved, and I'm enjoying it. Like I said, if it's by Kalynn Bayron, like, I'm always going to read her books because they're so good. There's always something happening. There's never a dull moment. It's never where you're bored or whatever, or nothing happens for a long period of time. There's always something happening, and it's leading up to a plot. Like, it's constant info where we're getting from each of the characters. There's always progress. So, like I said, I really am enjoying the book. After I get my food, I'm going to read more, relax, and do what I got to do, and then I have to go to work. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update as far as my reading, and I will talk to y'all later. So as I wait for my food to get ready, I'm continuing on reading it. And if y'all don't remember, after, you know, he was being expelled or whatever, Sir Carew came into the picture to help him as far as law and stuff for Gabriel. And I already knew Sir Carew was a complete jerk, and now I really can't stand him. Like, he even asked Gabriel, he was like, does your father know about you? He asked. And apparently, because... and this is around the 1800s, so they're not really coming out and saying everything, like, in detail, you know, about Gabriel, you know, liking Henry and stuff like that. They're not, they tiptoe, you know, so they don't really say, like, bluntly, like, oh, they just ask questions. It's like, does your father know about you? That's all. And then he said, I swallowed the fear that threatened to rise up my throat and ring out, I don't know what you mean. And then get this, like, even prior to this, he told Gabriel that he owed him his life because he pretty much saved Gabriel. And then it says, Sir Carew, pushed closer unto his stomach, was pressing against mine. He smiled a wicked, twisted grin, then laughed, and his brandy-soaked breath invaded my nostrils. He placed his hand on my chest and let it trail down the front of me under his fingers until his fingers brushed the waist of my trousers. I reacted before I could think it through. I smacked his hand away from me and backed up until I was half perched on the edge of my desk. And literally, Carew gets mad at him saying, oh, so you're going to defy me? Because Gabriel's like, this is a man who doesn't like nobody refusing him. No one's ever told him no. And it's just like, Gabriel, I feel so, like, Gabriel's going through it. I feel so sad for him. And literally, like, since Gabriel, defied and denied Carew for what he was trying to do to Gabriel, He literally says to him, Sir Carew stood up in the doorway of his office, glaring down at me. Stay down there in the dirt, Gabriel. It is where your kind belong. Trust me, boy, when all is said and done, you won't be able to show your face anywhere into the Queen's watchful eye. Mark my words. And that's when he leaves Sir Carew. And it says, I pulled my coat in close and took his letter from my pocket. The address was in Christchurch, which meant a long, terrible walk, but it didn't matter. I need to get there. And so I gathered myself up and began my journey, because Lily Henry had left him a letter. And I'm like, yeah, Gabriel, you need to get out. You definitely need to leave that place of Sir Carew. It's just like, seriously, bro? Like, why? So I'm glad Gabriel was able to get out of there while he could, because that was just completely ridiculous. And when I say I feel for Gabriel, I feel for him, because he literally is trying to still be a better man and trying to do right in society. But people just want to do him wrong because of his status and, in society, and also because he's Black. And it's just, even though this is set in the 1800s, it's realistic, and it's so similar to just being in America in the year of 2023. It's like, you always have to work 10 times harder because you are Black. I don't care what anybody says. That is the honest truth of it all. Because yes, you can have the perfect grades and all the other stuff. But even with that alone, it's all about who you know at this point. Like, but I always tell people, like, just keep pushing. Don't let nobody discourage you, because everything's going to be all right. Your path will come to you. Whatever is meant to be, it's going to happen. And I try to manifest that of, positive vibes, and positive energy. So I feel for Gabriel. Hopefully Henry will come, him and Gabriel will connect once again. Because, he's still trying to figure out, what's going on with Henry. Is he in some type of trouble? So, yeah. So I'm glad Gabriel is on his path on to finding Henry at this point and doesn't have to worry about Sir Carew anymore. But yeah, I'm on chapter 14. And like I said, there's always something happening. There's always some type of progress within the writing. There's always some type of plot. So that's where I am right now. And you're probably not going to hear another update from me until probably later on this evening. And who knows, I might even be finished with the book. So we shall see. But yeah, I'm about to go pick up my food, go from there. But this is just so freaking good. Like, I love it so much. But yeah, that is my little update for now. I will catch y'all later this evening. See ya. Hey everyone. So, I'm about to head into work, but I just want to give a quick little update of what I read so far. I have maybe 50 pages left, so if I don't finish it tonight, I'll definitely finish it in the morning, and then gather my thoughts on everything that I read, reflect everything, and give my full review of everything that that I've been discussing with y'all. So literally, we're at the stages where after Gabriel was attacked by Sir Carew, after Carew was trying to force himself on Gabriel, he told Hyde, right? He told Hyde about what happened, and Hyde sent him letters, and Henry sent him letters and stuff like that. We find out information about Dr. Jekyll, and then we have Henry, who just constantly breaks Gabriel's heart and pretty much friend zones Gabriel and be like, you know what? We're great friends. We need to remain friends. What happened in the past is the past. We need to just continue on building a friendship. And Gabriel, his heart was broken. And then so he was like, Hyde and Henry seem too familiar. And so he went to a man to pretty much look at both of the letters, one from Hyde, one from Henry. And even the guy said that, no, two people couldn't have wrote these letters. All these letters are written by the same person. And literally Gabriel's like, no, that can't be possible. Hyde said that he wrote this. And still the man was like, no, like it was, all these letters were forged by the same hand of the same person. And Henry and Gabriel is trying to figure out, like, why is Henry doing all this? Like, why the secrets? Just why? So that's where I am at this point in time of the book. Probably, you know, I probably won't give any more updates until I finish the book and then go from there. It's just like, man, Gabriel cannot catch a break in this book. He just can't whatsoever. He's trying to, I don't know. It's just sad. It's so sad for Gabriel. But hopefully he can connect things and put two and two together, since he found out about the letters that they all been written by Henry. So yeah, but I'm about to head into work, y'all. I know I have a live discussion later on after work at 10 for Mealbone by Zorno Hurston and Langston Hughes. So that's going to be interesting. Hope y'all are tuned in for that tonight. And then tomorrow I'll give y'all my full update on what I read and just give y'all my rating. So hope everybody's day is going great. I will catch y'all tomorrow. And yeah, hope everyone is staying healthy and staying safe. See ya. Hey everyone, good morning. Today is Sunday and we decided to go to the park just to hang out with my babies, have them exercise so they can wear out a little bit. So yeah, so we're at the park having a good old time. But y'all, I felt like, well, instead of me just, you know, being at home all day, this would be the perfect day to go to the park with my kids and my family. So there is no updates for my dear Henry just yet. You'll have to wait for that later on. But I just want to give you a little update on what I'm doing right now and just hanging out with the fam. So stay tuned for more, and probably next time you see me, I'll be doing a full review for my dear Henry.
This is fun.
It's fun?
Yeah. This is hard. Yesterday.
Be careful, bud. Be careful, Kiana.
Be careful.
Yeah, they don't do that.
No, 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 no.
You done?
Hey everyone, so I am back at home. Really had a fun time at the park today. About maybe 45 minutes ago, I just got done with my live discussion for my members for Night Crawling by Layla Motley. And that was just a great discussion, so definitely check that out whenever you get a chance. I am currently still reading My Dear Henry. I wanted to go back a few chapters because I felt like I was dozing off a little bit, and I was like reading it, but then I just kept dozing off. So I went back a couple of chapters, and some things are familiar to me and some things aren't. So I'm glad that I'm taking this time to go back at it. And right now I am on chapter 23, and Gabriel's trying to put two and two together, because it was brought to his attention that Henry could also be Hyde, and Henry doesn't believe that is the case. But he was also, something else was brought to his attention, that Henry hasn't been the same since. He's been distant, and his attitudes change now and then. And there was a point where what was brought to Gabriel's attention was how he was changing, and how in Dr. Jekyll's laboratory, things became really, really weird. And even Dr. Jekyll stepped up to Gabriel saying, it's all your fault. Henry is the way he is. If you didn't, like, you know, be part of his life or came into his life, he would be he would be different. It's all your fault. And so he's blaming Gabriel for Henry and his actions, and that's just not the case. So like I said, Gabriel's trying to put two together. He already established that the letters written that were supposedly written by Hyde and Henry are the same people. So Gabriel's just trying to figure everything out. And then with the whole with Sir Carew being murdered and how Gabriel brought it up to Hyde, and then out of nowhere Sir Carew is dead. So yeah, but I didn't feel sorry for Sir Carew at all, because he's a predator. He got what was coming to him. And I'm sure Gabriel wasn't the first person that he was trying to pursue and force himself on. So it is what it is. Like, there's just this theme when it comes to just life and how men of power, they feel like they're above the law and they can do whatever they wish and whatever they desire. And that was not the case. And karma got the best of them, you know? So I did not feel bad about what happened to Sir Carew, because you should never be forcing yourself on someone. And pretty much saying like, oh, since, well, no one defies me, so I'm going to ruin your life. Like, no. So that's where we are at the point where Gabriel's trying to put two and two together. He's trying to figure out why Henry is just being such an a-hole towards him. You know, when they first met, Henry was this great person and they always talked with each other and stuff like that. And now Henry is just completely different. So that's where I am right now. That's my little update. So the next time you see me, for sure this time, there'll be my full conclusion to everything. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, so I have officially finished My Dear Henry, a Jekyll and Hyde remix by Kalynn Bayron, and I have to tell y'all that it's a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I not only felt all types of emotions for Gabriel, but I felt all the emotions also for Henry, especially when Gabriel started to realize that it wasn't Henry, it was Henry's father that was changing Henry. He was experimenting on Henry because he wanted Henry to stop loving Gabriel, and he pretty much gave him this purple liquid to, I would say, fix Henry. And like, I was so mad, and I just felt for Henry to even for what he was going through with his father and how his father was treating him. And like, even with this page, it says where his Henry's mother is starting to realize what his father has been doing to him, and he's like, he is my son and I demand to know what role you played in all of this. She shouted. It says, you saw how he was with Utterson. So that's Gabriel's last name, Utterson. Dr. Jekyll snapped. You saw how they looked at one another. I saw how happy he was, she said. I saw him happier than he's ever been cooped up in that lab with you. And then Dr. Jekyll says, slammed his hand down on the desk, and I jumped. He is brilliant, and I was not going to allow him to squander his opportunities. It says his brilliance wasn't diminished because he cared for Gabriel, she said. You could have minded your own business. And that's how I felt. I'm like, yes, Mom, tell your husband to mind his own business. He does not to be in his son's relationships. It's none of his concern. And she said, you could have been there for him regardless and be ostracized for it, shunned in polite society. And then she was like, in case you hadn't noticed, that polite society thinks you're nothing but an uppity black man who has overplayed his hand. She sighed and her shoulders rolled forward. They hate us. They always have, and still you strive to be among them. You think if you have enough money and power, you can be one of them? You can't, and neither can Henry, and neither can I. And why should we want that? Wake up, you fool. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, his mom is standing up for Henry. Like, I wanted to stand up for him. I was like, I want to yell at Dr. Jekyll. I want to yell at his father for him to treat him this way. I was so upset. And then Gabriel said he has been experimenting on Henry. A clear picture was beginning to unfold in my mind, and it was devastating. He wanted to excise from Henry any feelings he had for me, but he didn't anticipate what would happen. And so, like I said, he was giving his son, Henry, this elixir to try to fix him, to make him not want to be with Gabriel any longer. And so that's where Hyde comes into the picture. So Hyde and Henry are the same person. And so when he gave him this elixir, he turned into Hyde, where Hyde didn't have these type of feelings or whatsoever for Gabriel, right? And with the whole Sir Carew and everything, it was actually Henry's father, and Henry's father was trying to frame his own son and blaming Sir Carew's death on Henry, when actually it was Dr. Jekyll the entire time. So I just felt, man, I was trying to figure out everything. I was trying to put two and two together. I did not even see that coming. I did not think it was Henry's father that was doing all this, that was pretty much trying to convince and force Henry to not be with Gabriel any longer. Hence why Henry was acting the way he was towards Gabriel. And now it all makes sense. You know, because it's like Henry was for Gabriel. They wanted to be together, and then out of nowhere it just took a turn. So like now it literally at the very end of the book, I started to get it and I started to understand what was happening, and then I put two and two together. I did not, like I said, I did not see that coming. This book is not it's not predictable. Like, it's not predictable whatsoever. And I just really enjoyed every single moment of this book, every single word, every single page that I turned. I wanted to keep knowing more, and I wanted to keep knowing more. Now, I'm sorry that I may be spoiling y'all. I do apologize about that, but it's just like, I gotta tell y'all, like, this book is amazing. Anything that Kalynn Bayron writes, I'm going to read her work because her writing is phenomenal. I love this remix of Jekyll and Hyde. This is definitely one of my favorite books, like, of this year, and it was one of my anticipated reads, and I'm glad it was, because this was just a fantastic book. And then even towards, like, even what his dad was saying, "Don't you see what I was trying to do?" Dr. Jekyll bellowed. And he said he stumbled back to his chair and collapsed into it. "I don't want my son to have to bear the burden of caring for you. I don't want that. I did what I could to put a stop to it, but he wouldn't listen. And so I had to take things into my own hands." And then he says, but in Hyde, he slammed his hand on the desk again. "But in Hyde, I created a manifestation of his love for you. I had to do something to turn Henry's attention away from Hyde, to show him how truly terrible that aberration is, so that he would never want anything to do with it ever again." So not only was he just ruined his son altogether just because he wanted to be in his son's business, and he didn't have to be. And I'm glad his mom told him, like, it was none of your business. I was glad to hear that from her. But every single moment I loved. And then also with the author's note, which I definitely want to share with you all, it says, "I read Robert Louis Stevenson's Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for the first time when I was in college. The discussion about the novella turned immediately into a man's true nature and the monsters that live within us all. I, however, was much more interested in the duality of the dear doctor and what Mr. Hyde represented. A clear-cut personification of the almost hysterical homophobia of the late 19th century, and Robert Louis Stevenson's desperate need to convey society's struggle with the negative and often violent perception of anyone considered other. I thought of what it must have been like for people living and working in London at the time, and how, as is the case at this current moment in history, compounding marginalizations of one's own identity can make navigating everyday society, employment, education, the criminal justice system, and healthcare feel impossible. What then might it have been like for the queer Black British people living in 1880s London? My research for this project was not limited to reading Stevenson's work. Though I have read Jekyll and Hyde no less than 20 times, I pored over David Alsogo's work, Black and British, A Forgotten History, to firmly establish that there is a place for Black people in the pages of Victorian-era fiction, and that the establishment of Black people in Britain does not begin with the arrival of the Windrush. I cannot tell you how insidious and pervasive the myth of Black people simply not existing in certain time periods or geographical locations is. In the pages of My Dear Henry, you will find mention of historical figures and events, and while this is a work of fiction, I found it important to firmly anchor the tale in a reality where Black doctors, scientists, and educators existed. Their treatment was often abhorrent, and the stoning of Charles Woodson that is mentioned in the story was loosely based on the events surrounding the real-life lynching of Charles Wooden, a Black sailor in Liverpool in June of 1919. My research was extensive and relied heavily on the accounts of the history of Black British populations from noted scholars, historians, and academics. I am endlessly thankful for the work of David Lasogo, Professor Hakeem Adi, Dr. Olivette Attell, Patrick Vernon, Kurt Barling, Dr. Caroline Bressy, and Arthur Torrington. In a time period where being queer was criminalized and where being Black was enough to render you expendable, I was challenged to create a world in which two queer Black boys grapple with their own feelings while being at the mercy of an unforgiving society. Stevenson's original work is a cautionary tale of the other. With My Dear Henry, what I have tried to do is offer a glimmer of hope at the end of a harrowing, sometimes frightening tale. Turning the story on its head allowed me to examine the role that homophobia and racism had to play in the lives of Gabriel and Henry. I could not write about queer Black boys in Victorian London without addressing these issues. I hope I have done it in a way that fosters a sense of empathy and compassion in my readers. And yes, you have done that, Kalynn, and I applaud you. This book is amazing. I love every single moment of it, how realistic it is. I appreciate the time that she took to research and hear from other historians and educators and stuff like that. Like, I love that. I love how they're, you know, how authors, they are researching stuff prior to, or at least some authors, they're trying to research everything before they write things because they want to make it as accurate as possible, even though this is a fiction story. But I loved every single moment of it. And I cannot wait to read more by Kalynn Bayron. But that is it. That is the conclusion of this long reading vlog. I really hope you enjoy it. And also, this book comes out March the 7th. So you still have time to pre-order it. If not, you can get it today. But actually, as you're watching this, it'll be out today, so go ahead and get your copy. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. Like I said, I really hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. I don't really do a lot of reading vlogs, but I want to start doing them, and I cannot wait to share more with you all. But thank you all so much. I hope all of you are staying healthy and staying safe. See ya.